Okay, this is the concept of the first mover and the pullback. If we have a context where we are being bullish, as in here where we bounced off the VWAP on the 15-minute and on the 1 minute, then this we think is the first mover. And so right now we might be coming to this zone actually. Let me take this out. So we might actually make a two-step and get into this zone. If this is the first mover, this is the pullback. But here on the 15-second, we actually had this other, it's the same first mover, but this is the pullback into this cluster of flipper blocks, kind of. And if we take a quick 1-to-1 here, a 150 tick, or we take a same but a 1.6-to-1 down here like this, something like that. If we theorize this is the first mover and this is the pullback, then we catch a quick 2-to-1 or 1.6-to-1 or a 1-to-1. And that's similar to what happened on the USD Canadian, which is what this picture is. We have the first mover. These two are the same picture, just compressed here on the 15-minute. Both are 15-minute. First mover, pullback. And what the issue was I didn't recognize this as the pullback into this cluster right here. So really it was just a simple concept that I missed, because I was thinking that I wanted this pullback to be corrective looking, but actually a straight shot like this is just fine, because it's not structural. It's not a structural move. But anyways, so here's the card. So we should have been anticipating this bounce, and this shape of the pullback would have been just fine, because it's not structural. Back to the NQ. Looks like we could be making a two-step, so I gotta go tend to that, and we'll be back to finish this video. Alright, it looks like I was right about this, but adverse selection got me again. I didn't get tagged in, so I take this off. So here we have symmetry, just as I thought. Right here, from here to here to here, this leg and this leg, and bounce right at symmetry. That's, at this point, that's not even really a surprise, is it? And so that's the euro, that's the NASDAQ. And we'll take a look at the Canadian. But really, one of the most important trifles is the adverse selection aspect of this here, whereby missing the entry. That, it's come up so much. Okay, so then this is the USD Canadian, which is what this hand-drawn picture is, which should help us remember this very concept of we get a bias, and the bias here is Justin's trade, and we saw this huge, he entered through here, we saw this huge pullback, and we found a base, and we found a first mover here, and then the first pullback, And this really was the second mover last night. And this is where the picture starts, which is, this is the down leg. It finds this base, goes up again, so making a new first mover and a pullback. So that's what this is, this down leg, this cluster of flipper blocks, and the first mover and the pullback. And what threw me off was I wasn't thinking it correctly. I was looking at the stretched view like this, and this looked too strong. But actually, this is not structural. This is not structural in, I mean, there is a fair value gap here, but really, this cluster, as it comes in to this flipper block, would have been a perfect 2-to-1 trade. So that's what this is. So the point is, if we have a bias, and here the bias is, we made one first mover pullback, second first mover and pullback, and right there into the OTE. See right here, this cluster. So this is the second first mover, and pull back into this cluster right there. So that's what this is right there, and that's what this is right here, this pullback. So if you have a bias and then you find the first mover that ends the downtrend, and a second mover and a pullback, even if it looks like this, see, this is not really structural. I mean, I guess there's some fair value gaps here. Oh, no, not that. This first mover here. This right here. Yeah, because this is a 15-minute. This first mover, and then look, here there's no real fair value gap on the 15-minute. And here's our cluster. And here's the cluster becoming support, which is this right here. I'll cover up the rest right here. See right there, this cluster, this first mover, this pullback. That's the pullback on the 15-minute. Like this one. Like this. This edge right here. That's what we were seeing last night. So, like this. This is the 15-minute. So it's actually kind of fractal, because we had this on the 15-second mover, and we found support here, and then this becomes our first mover, and this is the pullback. First mover, pullback on the 15, which is this cluster, first mover, pullback. And could have just put an entry order here along this cluster, something like this, like that. Boom, a quick 2-to-1. Probably would have targeted something like this. Pull it down a little bit like that to make sure that we have an easy to hit target. First mover, and this shape of the pullback can come in many different ways. That's the main takeaway of this pullback. If we know the bias, and if we think this is very likely the first mover, then the pullback, and the cluster of support right there. So that's what this is. When we have what we think is a first mover, then we can look at the pullback and catch the end of the pullback. And that pullback could look many different ways. Could be a corrective pullback, or it could be these one-shot pullbacks that just like a V spike. All right.